1941 was a pivotal year in World War II. It was a year that saw the conflict escalate to unprecedented levels, with battles raging across multiple continents and involving numerous nations. It marked a significant escalation of the conflict, as the war that had primarily been confined to Europe began to spread its tentacles far and wide, drawing in countries from across the globe, with major events that reshaped the course of the war. These events not only changed the dynamics on the battlefield, but also had profound impacts on the political and social landscapes of the involved nations. From the Lend-Lease Act, which saw the United States providing crucial support to its allies, to the devastating attack on Pearl Harbor that brought America into the war, 1941 witnessed a dramatic expansion of the war's geographic scope and the entry of new major powers. The involvement of these new powers would change the balance of the war, leading to new alliances and strategies. This essay will delve into the key events of 1941, examining how each event played a crucial role in shaping the outcome of the war, exploring their significance and impact on the global conflict. The decisions made and actions taken during this year had far-reaching consequences that would be felt for decades to come. The year began with Europe already engulfed in war. The continent was a battleground, with cities and towns turned into war zones. Germany, under Hitler's leadership, had overrun much of Western Europe. The Nazi war machine seemed unstoppable, as country after country fell under its control. However, the United States remained officially neutral, despite the growing threat posed by the Axis powers. Though its sympathies lay with Great Britain and its allies, the U.S. provided material support through programs like the Lend-Lease Act, which was crucial in sustaining the British war effort. This neutrality would be tested as the year progressed. The increasing aggression of the Axis powers and the mounting pressure from allies would push the United States closer to direct involvement. The events of 1941 would ultimately determine the fate of nations and the outcome of the war. The decisions made during this year would set the stage for the remaining years of the conflict. The year saw the beginning of the war's deadliest campaign, the invasion of the Soviet Union. Operation Barbarossa, launched by Nazi Germany, was a massive military campaign that would result in some of the most brutal fighting of the war. It also saw the United States drawn into the conflict following the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. This attack galvanized American public opinion and led to a declaration of war against Japan and subsequently against Germany and Italy. The year 1941 stands as a turning point in the narrative of World War II, marking the transformation of a continental conflict into a truly global war. The events of this year would shape the strategies and outcomes of the war in the years to come, marking the transformation of a continental conflict into a truly global war. The involvement of new nations and the escalation of military campaigns would lead to unprecedented levels of destruction and loss of life, forever changing the world. In March 1941, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed the Lend-Lease Act, a significant turning point in the United States' involvement in World War II. This act allowed the U.S. to provide war materials to nations deemed vital to the defense of the United States, effectively ending its pretense of neutrality. Great Britain, struggling to combat Germany's aggression, was the primary beneficiary of the Lend-Lease Act. The act provided a lifeline to the beleaguered nation, supplying them with much-needed weapons, ammunition, food, and other essential supplies. The Soviet Union, following Germany's invasion later that year, also began receiving aid under the Lend-Lease program. The Lend-Lease Act was more than just a material aid program. It was a clear signal of the United States' commitment to defeating the Axis powers. It provided crucial support to the Allies, bolstering their ability to resist German aggression. Moreover, it marked a turning point in American foreign policy, shifting the nation away from isolationism and toward a more active role in global affairs. In April 1941, Hitler turned his attention southeast, launching invasions of Yugoslavia and Greece. This marked a significant escalation in the European theater of World War II. This Balkan campaign, though brief, had significant implications for the strategic landscape of the war. The region's complex political and military dynamics made it a critical area for both the Axis and Allied powers. Hitler's motives were driven by a desire to secure his southern flank before launching his planned invasion of the Soviet Union. He believed that controlling the Balkans would prevent any potential threats from the south, ensuring a smoother path for his eastern ambitions. Yugoslavia, despite initially joining the Axis powers, saw a coup d'état that overthrew the pro-German government. This sudden political shift was a direct challenge to Nazi influence in the region. This act of defiance enraged Hitler, prompting a swift and brutal invasion. The German military, known for its blitzkrieg tactics, moved with incredible speed and efficiency. The German war machine, aided by Italian forces, quickly overwhelmed Yugoslav resistance. The combined might of the Axis powers proved too formidable for the Yugoslav forces, who were ill-prepared for such a coordinated assault, forcing the country's surrender within days. The rapid capitulation of Yugoslavia was a testament to the overwhelming power and strategic prowess of the Axis military. Greece, with British support, initially put up a strong defense against the invading Italian forces. The rugged terrain and determined resistance made the Italian advance slow and costly. However, the German Wehrmacht soon joined the fight. Their superior firepower and tactics, honed through years of military campaigns, proved too much for the Greeks and their allies. The German forces employed a combination of air, land, and sea attacks, overwhelming the Greek defenses. The relentless assault left the defenders with little room to maneuver or regroup. Despite their valiant efforts, Greece fell to the Axis powers by the end of April 1941. The occupation of Greece marked another significant victory for Hitler and his allies. The swift conquest of Yugoslavia and Greece secured Hitler's Balkan flank and provided him with valuable strategic assets. Control of these territories allowed the Axis powers to dominate the southeastern European region. However, the campaign also delayed the start of Operation Barbarossa, his planned invasion of the Soviet Union. This delay, caused by the need to secure the Balkans, would have far-reaching consequences, a delay that would prove to have significant consequences in the long run. The harsh Russian winter and the extended supply lines would later challenge the German forces, contributing to the eventual failure of their Eastern campaign. The Balkan campaign, while a short-term success, inadvertently set the stage for future difficulties for the Axis powers. On June 22, 1941, Adolf Hitler unleashed Operation Barbarossa, the largest military invasion in human history. This marked the beginning of the war's deadliest and most brutal theater, the Eastern Front. The scale and ambition of this operation were unprecedented, involving millions of soldiers and stretching across a vast expanse of territory. The invasion targeted the Soviet Union, shattering the fragile peace established by the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, a non-aggression treaty signed just 2 years earlier. This sudden betrayal plunged millions into a desperate fight for survival, as the Soviet Union was caught off guard by the sheer ferocity and speed of the German assault. Operation Barbarossa, named after the medieval Holy Roman Emperor Frederick Barbarossa, reflected Hitler's grandiose ambitions. He sought to conquer vast swathes of Soviet territory, crush Bolshevism, and secure vital resources such as oil, grain, and minerals to fuel Germany's war machine. This was not just a military campaign, but an ideological crusade against communism. The invasion force was colossal, comprising over 3 million German soldiers, along with hundreds of thousands of troops from Axis allies like Romania, Hungary, and Italy. They struck with lightning speed, employing the blitzkrieg tactics that had proven so effective in Western Europe. The Soviet leadership and military were caught off guard, leading to chaos and confusion in the early days of the invasion. The initial weeks of the invasion saw stunning German advances. The Wehrmacht, with its well-coordinated and highly mobile units, tore through Soviet defenses, inflicting heavy casualties and capturing vast amounts of territory. Cities fell one after another, and the Red Army seemed powerless to stop the onslaught. The Wehrmacht's blitzkrieg tactics, characterized by rapid movements of tanks, infantry, and air support, were devastatingly effective. They encircled and destroyed entire Soviet armies, capturing hundreds of thousands of prisoners. The speed and efficiency of the German advance were unlike anything the world had seen before. The Luftwaffe, Germany's formidable air force, played a crucial role in the invasion. They gained air superiority early on, relentlessly bombing Soviet cities, military installations, and infrastructure. This aerial dominance further crippled Soviet defenses and contributed to the rapid German advances. However, the invasion of the Soviet Union would prove to be a grave miscalculation on Hitler's part. He had underestimated several critical factors that would ultimately doom Operation Barbarossa. Hitler underestimated the resilience and determination of the Soviet people, who were willing to endure unimaginable hardships to defend their homeland. He also failed to grasp the vastness of the Soviet Union's territory, which made supply lines increasingly stretched and vulnerable. Moreover, the Red Army, despite suffering initial setbacks, began to regroup and mount a fierce resistance. The campaign, initially envisioned as a swift and decisive victory, devolved into a protracted and brutal war of attrition. The harsh Russian winter, logistical challenges, and fierce Soviet counterattacks turned the tide against the Germans. The Eastern Front became a quagmire, claiming millions of lives and ultimately contributing to the downfall of Nazi Germany. The human cost was staggering, with entire cities and regions left in ruins, and the scars of this conflict would linger for generations.